Alrighty, so my name is Jerry Donahue. I'm the CTO and co-founder at Project Happy. I am going to be getting my PhD in the fall at Northeastern, specializing in machine learning and AI. I'm here today to introduce the next speaker, Jack Potvin. So Jack Potvin called me about a year ago and said, hey, I have this cool idea, Project Happy. Essentially, Project Happy is a nonprofit tech startup aimed at making young lives better. I'll let him elaborate on that later. So he essentially asked me to develop the web application, and I said yes, because it sounded awesome. So besides Project Happy, Jack does a whole collection of other things. He does product management, product enhancement, product development, he does venture scouting for AWS, does marketing, and he has been the chief development officer at a company called Study, which is a great company, in my opinion, that connects people of color to tech, jobs, and industry. So, takeaway from all of those activities is that what's consistent throughout is that he has a passion for entrepreneurship and he has a passion for making the world a better place. So, a self-proclaimed sim breaker and happiness hacker, I'd love to introduce my friend and co-founder, Jack Potvin.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction there, Jerry. I appreciate it, man. And I wanted to start today's conversation with some pretty startling statistics. 20% of young people today experience depression. And 25% of American teens in this past year reported feeling emotionally disconnected. And unfortunately, particularly with the really terrible lasting COVID impacts, these numbers are actually rising. It's pretty clear that we are undoubtedly in the middle of an unhappiness epidemic. It's true that adolescent unhappiness and disconnection is a complex and multifaceted issue. And it's also true that many young people today just don't feel meaningfully connected to the world around them. But I'm optimistic about the future for my fellow young people. And I wanted to kind of take a look at the advancements of technology over the last 20 years, starting with BlackBerry's first smartphone in 2002, through to the first iPhone. I'm sure some of the folks in this room might have had it in 2007. Instagram in 2010. Significant development of Xbox and PlayStation, and now to what I like to call the TikTok era. And increasingly, as you can see, this technology has become far more addicting. These companies have become fantastic at finding ways to increasingly captivate our attention. And what's crazy is that the average American screen time has increased up to 7 hours a day, including over 2 hours daily on social media. And for members of Gen Z or late teens and early 2000s kids, that number is actually estimated to be up to 9 hours a day of screen time. And what I really wanted to stress is that 2 generations ago, that screen time number was 0, right? It was 0. And one of the big things I'm hoping to kind of leave you all with today is that this radical change in the way that we communicate has had a significant impact on the way that we experience and value our critical human relationships. And I wanted to tell a quick story about my grandfather. And he's an amazing storyteller. And he tells me stories about how when he was younger, he'd always, want to hang out with his friends. And you got to think, you couldn't just text them, right? So what he would do is he'd ride his bike around town, he'd find the house out front with all the bikes, right? If there's 5, 6 bikes, you recognize the bikes, he goes, okay, yeah, my friends are probably there. It was either that, or he'd go down to the town fields, and if you heard the crack of the bat, he'd know that his friends were there. The only other alternative, right, planning things and hanging out, right, was in his last period of class, his friends would get together and they'd talk. And they decide, all right, let's meet at the drive-in theater at 5. Communication my grandfather's used to is significantly different from what we have today, right? And this was their sense of community. All of their community and the ways they communicated was all done in person. Now that brings us to today, right? Obviously my grandfather did not have Snapchat or Fortnite or Tinder when he was my age. And therefore, the method of forming meaningful relationships has fundamentally changed. From the way that my grandfather and his father's father built his meaningful relationships, and the way that I must build mine, now in the era of technologies like these. Hundreds of thousands of years of nature, and even genetics, have been abruptly interrupted within a single generation, and something essential to our human emotional wellness, as strong relationships and connection. So what do we do, right? And this is something I've spent years thinking about, something I'm incredibly passionate for. And I believe the right way to kind of frame this problem is through asking a refined question. And that question is, how can we reestablish adequate, meaningful connection for our young people, complementary to our newly shifted, technology-centric communities? And fortunately, I believe we've actually found a powerful solution that already exists to help reverse these really scary negative trends of depression, anxiety, and so on. And it doesn't include reinventing the wheel, and millions of Americans actually already do it. And empirically, 95% of people who do this say that it enriches their sense of purpose in life. And 94% say that it improves their mood. So really, really powerful, the fact that one solution can have this big of an impact. And the answer is community involvement and volunteering. Community service truly is a potent solution to help reconnect our young people. Aligned opportunities can help young people meet new friends and build new relationships, exposing them to people from all walks of life. It can help them, push their boundaries and try things that they might not have before, right? It can help them gain a powerful, valuable perspective and foster deeper appreciation for their communities and the people in them. And arguably most importantly, in my opinion, it allows them to experience that positive altruistic feeling of giving back and helping others. A youth.gov report even concludes that youth who volunteer are more likely to feel connected to their communities and even do better in school. Not to mention the real-world career experience that you can gain through volunteering. Amazing nonprofits are often understaffed, and I can tell you, of the 7,000 nonprofits we have here in New Hampshire, this is true for many of them. They need help. And on the other side of things, young people really want real career experience. Naturally, there's some synergy between those two groups. Also, volunteering can provide career-relevant skills, be a huge resume booster, and even help lead to job referrals. Overall, driving more educated career decisions for our young people and helping them discover their passions and dislikes a lot earlier, right? So volunteering really is multifaceted and powerful. And what I like to say it is a multivitamin of sorts. So community service and volunteering really is a complete multivitamin, supplementing the deficiencies brought on by our revolutionary new tech, some of which Derek spoke on, as well as our new social media habits. However, only a quarter of teens today volunteer, and far less volunteer consistently. And this really bothered me. So I actually put a team together, and we surveyed a few hundred students and dozens of principal and clinical psychologists to understand why. Why weren't more young people involved in volunteering? And we kept hearing two things over and over, the same insights over and over again. And the first is that young people are actually unsure how to start. And the second is that they believed that they were too busy. And clearly, as the statistics show, the solutions that did exist just weren't working. And now, in honor of being at SimBreak, I wanted to kind of take you through the way that we actually looked at this problem, right? Using a first principles and SimBreaker type analysis. So we started with a raw mission, and this is actually something that I keep with me and drives me every day, which is to achieve maximized positive impact. But we're finding that for this problem specifically, we wanted to provide a solution to help youth live meaningfully happier and more connected lives. And our chosen method to achieve this, we wanted to eliminate the existing barriers and create an overall frictionless process for all involved. Some of those major barriers that currently existed include, platform adoption and the lack of youth buy-in. It includes unnecessary complexity, high costs, right? And overall, just the shareholders and stakeholders, rather, lack of trust in traditional technology companies. People just didn't trust big tech companies. And also, we had a North Star. And for us, once we found Khan Academy, it made our life so much easier. So, for those who don't know, Khan is a nonprofit technology company. And what they do is they have a website, and they offer thousands of quality courses online to over 100 million people every single year. So their completely free technology is touching 100 million plus lives, and they're doing it as a nonprofit. So Khan has been just such a great North Star for us in the solution that, and we wanted to emulate the success that they've had in that way they've done it. So what this left us with was our result, which is a useful technology platform, free for all stakeholders, that makes volunteering easy and enjoyable, provided by a unique nonprofit. And this may come as a surprise to you in this room, but we actually did this. So we successfully designed and developed our first technology, and it's named Project Happy. And taking a quick look at the platform, we made it really, really easy and intentional. The student just simply enters in their school email, they enter in the number of miles they're willing to travel to do good in their zip code, and then they search. From there, they can filter by interesting opportunities. So say I'm really interested in nature and food insecurity, or two causes I'm passionate about. I then can see all the opportunities that fit that, come right up. I can click on one, sign up for an opportunity that fits my time schedule, and then I get emailed a calendar invite, and I just show up. It's really that easy. So now this process of doing good and getting involved in your community service, takes 2.5 minutes tops. And on the organization side, nonprofits can easily just post a role, add the opportunity and specifics, and then students can sign up for it. And just to dive a little bit deeper into the profound impact that we're having right here in New Hampshire for New Hampshire students. Using Project Happy, it's far quicker for young people to volunteer. Also, it's far easier because we're bringing a wide diversity of opportunities all to one place. And something that I really love and wanted to kind of expand on more was the fact that we actually track hours. We track volunteering hours using our platform, and we verify them. And we're the like generation, right? My generation, we love our likes, we love our metrics. So what we built is actually a metric for doing good. We call it the total good done metric. And we believe this is huge. And again, and with the students we've spoken with, and I know for myself personally it's true, if you tell me I can have a metric to show how many hours of good done I've had, or you can show me how many likes I got on the selfie, that's a heck of a lot more important to me than the selfie likes are, right? And then just the final pillar is how Project Happy has a profound impact is career experience. So say down the street is an Oyster River senior, and he's always loved using his hands and building things. So he decides he wants to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. So once he signs up on the Project Happy platform, he's building real skills. He's learning how to build real houses, right? That's just such a great skill to have. And now, in addition to building those skills, say there's a corporate sponsor on Project Happy who happens to be hiring carpenters. Through the Project Happy ecosystem, we can make that connection between the sponsor and the student to help them not just get these great career skills, but then actually get hired in an awesome job. Now for the secret sauce. So the key behind a lot of the stuff that we're building is leveraging something called psychometrics. And all psychometrics are is a scientific tool to help measure mental wellness. Project Happy's 2-year goal is to provide New Hampshire's first central resource for student community involvement. And specifically, our primary psychometric is to help young people become a net 15% more community connected for the 145,000 total high school and university students statewide. And we actually are working on building a second technology named mVision, which is essentially just a tool to help young people set better, more meaningful personal life goals. And the primary psychometric driving mVision is two-pronged. It's to help young people become a net 15% more productive and 10% more purposeful, right? And net is just an average. And then finally, our kind of third trio of technologies that we're working on developing is called LOA, or for all my history buffs, Library of Alexandria. And so what LOA is essentially a tool that leverages gamified technology to make history actually exciting so young people really learn from it. And our primary psychometric driving LOA is to lead young people to become a net 12% more historically aware. And what's really cool is that we can actually tailor these individual solutions and dozens of others we're hoping to inspire people to build, to tailor them to specific psychometric scores of each student. This is so significant. And now, I hope you're ready for the whole enchilada. So here you're looking at Project Happy's core flywheel. And we're using this flywheel to empirically solve, it's a guidebook for us, to empirically solve adolescent unhappiness. And we start with those specified psychometrics we just mentioned. Then, those psychometrics go into the development of meaningful, positive technology. Those technologies then drive powerful, measurable data and insights related to adolescent wellness and the things that we can do to increase it. Those data and insights are then fed to an advisory team of neuroscientists and PhD clinical psychologists who help us interpret these, and actually, fortunately, we've already had a few folks be willing to join this board. So really exciting there. From there, the advisory team helps refine our psychometrics using the data that we collected that helps us build better technology and features which helps us refine and get even more valuable data and insights, and so on. And so this flywheel really does work to empirically solve adolescent happiness, or hack happiness. And so Project Happy's Hacking Happiness framework, we hope, will inspire an entirely new open source system. We envision a vast suite of aligned, independent technologies that together measurably help solve adolescent unhappiness and disconnection. You can think about it like an app store for good almost. And this is our vision for hacking happiness.
Thank you, Jack. Next, we're going to have David Rogers introduce our final guest speaker.